Hello, Salemites. Welcome to your daily dose of days. Looks like my subscribers are slowly starting to find me, so make sure you subscribe if you haven't. I just quickly want to say this time of year, if you're suffering for depression or you feel desperate and lost, I wanted to give out the suicide hotline number, the prevention number. You can text 988 or you can call 1-800-273-8255 or 1-800-273-TALK, which is that number. If you can just hang on. When I've suffered with things in my life, I've always felt like if I could just go to sleep, things would look a little different in the morning. And then I found out, it says in the Bible that your joy cometh in the morning. So that makes sense. I always felt like I felt a little better the next day, even though maybe my circumstances didn't change. But no one should feel lost, abandoned, or so desperate that they think they are so unimportant that no one would miss them. That absolutely is not true. So if you're struggling, please, align yourself with someone who can help you, because everyone is important. I apologize. I'm going to have to get a taller chair. My younger son bought me a new webcam for Christmas and a new microphone. And it sits on top of my computer, which cuts me off more, believe it or not. It got me this fancy dancy little microphone. Isn't that cool? I love that thing. It's big and bulky though, but I love it. It's a great big ball. Anyway, I'm going to get me another chair this week so I can go up a little bit. But as long as you can hear me, why would you want to see me anyway? Anyway, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe, please. This is for Monday, December the 26th, Days of Our Lives, a recap. Okay, so we start off with Stephanie. She stayed at home while Patch, Kayla, and Trip decided to go back to Seattle since he can't see his mother yet. I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but most psychiatric wards, hospitals, or whatever you want to call them, they usually have at least 24 hours, but most of them have like a few days that you're not allowed to have any kind of visitors. They lock you out from the world. They don't lock you up necessarily. I'm not saying that. I'm saying they you can't have any visitors or any communications. So anyway, they're all back in Seattle, and Stephanie's here because she's a workaholic. She's got this puny little tree, one of them little trees that you get from like the Dollar Tree or whatever. And she was just saying that's just, pathetic or whatever her words were exactly with this little tree. But I like all trees, little, small, big, large, it doesn't matter. So she's kind of looking at that tree like, this is not Christmas. And then she hears a knock at the door, and who is it? It's Alex, who she plans to see later, I think, for dinner or something. But anyway, this is Christmas Day, like I suspected. Since Christmas fell on Sunday, we had Christmas Eve Friday in Salem, so stands to reason today would be Christmas Day, since we had Christmas Eve Friday. And that's what's going on. He brings her this tree, and she absolutely loves it. They decorate it together. It's not as tall of a tree as it is real bushy, and I love it. They put lights and some ornaments on it, and they're just having a great time together. And I love Stephanie. I love her character, and I would love to see her hook up with a good guy. I was kind of wanting her to be with Chad, but Alex is a good guy too. I sort of feel like once it comes out that he had a little rendezvous with Chanel and Allie, that might push Stephanie away. I don't know, but really it shouldn't, because Stephanie made it clear she didn't want anything to do with him back then. So I don't know. Still, I think that would bother me a little bit. So she sees them so often in things. It might be a little bit awkward. I don't know. They probably won't think anything about it, but she will. So I kind of feel like that might explode. But I love Alex's character so much better than Ben Weston. So anyway. We've got Monday the 26th. He brings her the tree. They decorate it. They're having fun. She notices there's a gift under the tree. She's like, what is this? You know, my camera shows everything on opposite sides. It's messing with my head. Like this is the right side of my head, but on my camera it's the left. My other camera wasn't like that, it didn't seem. You can notice my other videos were all grainy and hard to see, and this is so sharp, you know, it even scares me. So, he told her, you've been on the good list this year. So she's like, oh, you know, so she sits down and opens it, and it's a game system. I want to say it was an Xbox, you know, but I really don't know. I didn't see the system itself. The controllers were black, but you can get black controllers for Xbox or PlayStation, so I don't know what system it was that he got her. But he told her, you know, that she had said she couldn't wait to go home for the holidays because she was going to play video games with her brothers and they would have a tournament and she was going to beat their butts. Whip them. So, he thought those two could have a tournament, and they did. So they're playing video games, they're having so much fun, and Stephanie's just beating him. She's winning over and over again. Then they do some kind of dance something, and Stephanie's got the moves, and she's going on with it. He says, are you a professional dancer or something? She said, no, but I used to be a cheerleader. And, you know, back when I was growing up, the cheerleaders did actual cheers. And nowadays, and even they had started doing it back when I was in school, you know, they do a lot more dancing, and I like that a lot more myself than just, oh, ready, okay, stuff, you know. So, I don't know what my point is with that, where I'm going. Anyway, he's like, oh, I knew, because she's got the moves. Back when they were decorating the Christmas tree, she was talking to him about Bonnie, and she's glad Bonnie's getting some help. And he said, yeah, you know, Sarah thinks she's got PTSD from this Mr. Clown. So she said, confided in Alex that she too suffered from PTSD at one point in her life, and it was the most miserable time of her life. And she shared with him that EJ had kidnapped her, and she was held in a drawer in a morgue. Yeah, and she didn't elaborate much on it. She said, you know, it's when she was dating Philip, and she got caught up in that war between the Damaras and the Kiriakises, which was a constant war between Stefano and Victor. So, or has been over the years. You know, it only stopped when Stefano finally passed away. So, it's still, you know, a little dicey, but, you know, Chad's friends with everybody. He's a different kind of Damara. He's one of the good ones, like Lexi. He's right up there with Lexi. Lexi, who my niece was named after, and yes, her name is Lexi, my great niece. So they're getting close. They're sharing a kiss on the couch. And Stephanie says, I think we should move this to the bedroom. Now, whether they did move it to the bedroom or not, I do not know. It didn't show us that. We didn't see them get up and go. I don't know what happened there. It didn't show them anymore after that. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Okay, so, crap. I'm sorry, I have my flip thing down on my camera. Since it's Christmas Day, a lot of stuff is going on at the hospital. which is where Jada and Rafe stop by here in a few minutes. So Jada and Rafe, they're back at the police station, and they are going through, they get the forensic report on everything from the greenhouse, and they are going over it just line by line. They can't seem to find anything on, they can't even find, they think it's very odd that they didn't even find, they found no fingerprints, not Bonnie's, not Xander's, not nobody's. So they feel like Mr. Clown went back after the fact and wiped the place down. They didn't show that, but they probably did. So, anyway, they found something. Rafe tells Jada, you can go on home. I'm just going to finish this. But Rafe, she says she doesn't want to go because Kate has invited her to their little suave Christmas celebration, but she doesn't want to go because Eric's going to be there, and that's all awkward and stuff. And of course, she's away from her family and her home and stuff. So Rafe says, all right, you can work with me then. So then Gabby's calling him in just a few minutes, wanting him to get on over to the Christmas dinner. What we know is Rafe found something. They found some kind of yellow mesh batting, something like that. And Jada likened it to like the stuff that you put in pillows. Of course, what this is Leo. They had to pad him up in a fat man suit, which was the yellow flesh, or skin tone color flesh. So they had to pad him up for him to pull off the clown. So they didn't think that made much sense. So like I said, Gabby called. She's wanting him to just come the heck on over. And he does. So he's getting ready to leave, and Jada's going to stay there, apparently. And he says, I've got a better idea. Why don't you come have dinner with me and my family? It's just going to be Gabby, Ariana, and Lee, her gonna-be husband, her boyfriend. I don't even know if he said anything other than Lee. So she said sure, she would go. She said, but I have to stop somewhere first, and I want you to go with me. It would be great if Rafe and Jada got together. They're both good people. In the beginning, when they first met, I thought there were some sparks there. But, Rafe was all involved with Nicole. So, I thought, it's all in my head. Well, it probably was all in my head. But, maybe something good will come out. Maybe they'll be able to have a relationship, and Rafe can finally find love, from someone who's worthy of him. So, she takes him over to the hospital because what's going on at the hospital? Christmas Day is the day for the children's party. Santa comes and brings presents to the kids, and always a Horton reads the story. So Xander was dressed up as the Santa, and Sarah was Mrs. Claus. He was going to hand out the presents and ho 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 around, and that was not meant to be offensive in any way. Santa says ho ho ho, so I want somebody making nothing out of that. So they go over, and they're over there with the kids. Well, when Xander first comes in, I messed everything up. There was some conversations that was going on before Xander showed up to be Santa. And the conversations were that Bonnie came in because she just had her first visit with Dr. Marlena Evans for her PTSD. So she mistakes a clown that's a Christmas clown there and gets all crazy up in his face and realizes, I need some more sessions. And she's touching him. Oh, he's real. Poor guy, right? But, I'm with Bonnie. I'm just not a clown fan. I don't think clowns are funny. They have always been scary, even before it came on the scene. So she's having some conversations with Sarah, and she's telling Sarah, I feel so bad, because I accused Xander of being Mr. Clown. I was so sure he was the one who abducted me. And she said, well, what made you think that? And she told him, she said, well, that day I was walking in the park and I ran into Xander, and he was on the telephone, and I overheard him say the same thing on the phone that I heard him say also on a phone call when he was holding me captive, and it was the exact same words. And she said, what did he say? And he said, I'm not going to let this situation ruin my life. I think it was ruin my life. And Sarah said, really? And she said, yeah, word for word. And she said, and that's not the only thing. He said something else that was exactly like the kidnapper. She said, I was yelling at him, accusing him of being my kidnapper. You did it. And he was telling me to shut up. I was going to cause a scene or draw a crowd or something. I forget what the exact words were. But she said, those same words, the clown spoke to me when I was in the garden shed, because she was yelling and stuff. And Sarah, you can tell by her eyes, she knows this something is going on, right? So, I think she's putting two and two together. She knows a bit more than everyone else knows. So she's just listening to her. And then she said, so what happened next? And she said, well, I was getting ready to call the police and tell them that I knew Xander kidnapped me. And he kept telling me that he did not. And the phone rang, and it was Justin. So I turned around to take the call. And next thing I know, Mr. Clown knocked me out. And she said, the clown knocked you out? She said, well, I didn't see him. But then when I woke up, Xander and I both were tied up in the garden shed. Well, then I just thought he's pretending to be a victim just so I won't suspect him. And she said, and that's what I thought. And if you remember the show, she was telling him, what are you trying to pull? Bonnie is smart, man. So she said, but then the clown came in, and that knocked that out of the park. There's just no way Xander could be the clown when the clown came back, and Xander's here tied up. She said, so, Xander actually ended up being the hero instead of the kidnapper. And then, Xander comes walking up down the hall in the Santa suit, and Bonnie's saying what a good Santa he makes or something. She gave him some kind of nice compliment. Then Sarah and Xander go over to the kids. So they're over there handing out presents and they're over there talking to the kids because Sarah's getting ready to read. And this is where Jada and Rafe go. And Jada said this was one of my dad's favorite things to do when he worked here. Now, I believe her dad was a doctor and he worked there. Don't hold me to it. So, anyway, they were there. They're just sharing a moment together. They're going to have Christmas dinner together. So Sarah and Xander are over there doing that. And Jada said, I can't believe Xander stuffed up like that for Santa when he's so muscly anyway. And, it clicked in Rafe's head, and he said, that's it. Our kidnapper was padded up. He wasn't muscular at all. He was padding. And so they're catching on. They're figuring it out. So now I got that straight. Okay, so back at the Kiriakis mansion, Leo's living it up in his little Christmas jams. And apparently Sonny has not had a chance to tell Victor that he's asked Leo to move in temporarily because he's basically homeless and jobless. So, and he really has been trying to get a job. Victor's sitting there on the couch and would like to remind everybody that this episode is the very last episode that Victor appeared in before he passed away. May he rest in peace. And Victor's just a smart aleck, isn't he? He's a smarty pants. So he's sitting there on the couch, and in comes Leo, just bopping around like a little kid. And he plops down on the couch right next to Victor, and he's like, did he say Merry Christmas? I don't know if he said Merry Christmas or not, and I didn't write myself a note about it, so I don't know for sure. But he did sit down and was talking to Victor, and he said, so, when do we open the gifts? And Victor said, what are you doing in my house? When we kick you out of my house, that's when we open the gifts. And he said, oh no, I'm. You haven't heard? I'm living here now. And he said, what did Victor say? I don't remember his exact words. Anyway, so then Victor's like, you need to get out of my house. Who invited you? He said, I'm an invited guest. And he said, who invited you here? And then Sonny walks in and said, I did. And Victor's like, have you lost your mind? Have you forgotten that he drugged you and took compromising pictures of you? He tried to take our company down with a fraudulent lawsuit. And Sonny said, no, I haven't forgotten. And then Leo spoke up and said, I have apologized over and over. I have even groveled. And he has. And Sonny said, yeah, he has. And he said, I believe that, he's changed and he's trying to be a better man. And I would even call him a friend. And Victor said, do I need to call the police to have him removed? And he probably said that earlier, I think. One of the first things he said. Anyway, Victor tells Sonny, you're fired if you don't get him out of my house. And Sonny just flipped out. Because Victor's had his thumb on all these kids for years. He runs their life with the big fancy jobs, the big fancy house, all the money they have and stuff. So Sonny throws his phone over there on the table and says, well, go ahead, fire me. Call Alex, tell him he can have the job. Well, Victor just looked at him, and he said something else about Leo. And Sonny was telling Victor, you've changed, and you want people to think you've changed, and you've been given second and third chances. I would think of all people, you would be willing to give someone who's trying to change a second chance. And they had some words bickering back and forth, and finally Victor said, fine, but you put him in a room. Victor said something about him having a heart of gold. He said, don't make me regret my decision. And he said, you put him in a room farthest away from Maggie and I. And Leo said, oh, any room's fine as long as it has an ensuite. Because, Leo, I don't care how he's groveling and stuff. He thinks he deserves to be pampered and have the best of everything. And of course, most people want these things. But, I can barely see my head. But most people don't get them. So he said, any room would be fine. I can walk down the hallway to shower if I must. He didn't say if I must, but you could tell that's what he was meaning. Because Sonny was just, like, what the heck is the matter with you? So, I don't know where Victor goes. He's not in the room anymore. Or maybe it's Sonny and Leo go to a different room. Anyway, they're eating breakfast. And Leo gives Sonny a gift. And he's like, Leo, why did you buy me a gift? You're broke. You're homeless. You shouldn't be spending money on a gift for me. And he said, oh, it was 20% off. So it didn't set me back that much. And so Sonny opens the gift bag, and it's a really pretty shirt that says, I'm gay as Christmas, I think is what it says. I think that's what it says. I'm gay as something. And it's extremely colorful and pretty. And he tells him, try it on, because if it doesn't fit, I want to take it back and get the right size, as soon as possible. So Sonny says, okay. So he takes off his shirt to try it on. And of course, Leo makes some kind of lewd comment about Sonny's body because, Leo's very attracted to Sonny. And, you know, um, Sonny stays fit. He works out and stuff. He's a young, healthy man in his 30s. So, you know, but he just gives him a disgusting look. And before he can get his shirt on, who pops in? Wilhelmina. Will, he comes in going, Merry Christmas. And then he stops and he says, what is going on here? Sonny and Leo both look like this. Yeah, you know the look. So that's the last we see of them on this episode. Now, that about wraps it up for Monday, December the 26th. At the end of this show, they paid tribute to Victor Kiriakis, and which of course is played by John Aniston, who recently passed away. And this was his last scenes on this day. Wow, he worked up into the minute he passed, didn't he? So I think they film. They're pretty ahead of most people. I read somewhere they film like 3 months in advance, most of the time. So it showed a lot of clips from Victor Kiriakis from the beginning, with all of his different wives, Nicole, Vivian, what was that? Carly. He was married to Carly, and then he ended up with Maggie. And going through the clips, it was showing him just being a little prick off the old block there for many years. He was hard. He was so hard. And I tell you who he had a special place in his heart for always. And that was Caroline Brady, played by Miss Peggy McRae. And she died recently, too. I mean, in the last couple of years. May she rest in peace. I was on her Facebook. She accepted just regular people on her Facebook. And she chatted with her fans. She was very interactive. She was just the sweetest lady. And it showed a scene of them kissing and stuff. Of course, Caroline and Victor are Beau's dad. And Caroline, I remember back when that was airing, and then they find out that Sean Brady is not Beau's dad. But, he had a long love for Caroline Brady. And he probably never truly loved another woman until he hooked up with Miss Maggie. And it shows their wedding and stuff. It was very touching. And I tell you what, I hated Victor Kiriakis. He was just a jerk. He was mean. He was a womanizer. He was a business tycoon, and the fact that I hate the character so much and he got on my nerves shows what an amazing actor John Aniston was. And, of course, we wish the best for his family, for Jennifer and his other family members, and may he rest in peace. But he will always be in Salem. So I will see you guys in Salem tomorrow. Make sure you subscribe and have a great day.